Today I thought I'd talk about something that van life channels seems to be totally ignoring, and that is the fact that the Labour government plans on bringing in road pricing, pay per mile, from October. So yeah, the news is that SAWYER is now considering to bring in road pricing, pay per mile, to the British roads, and that will, I think, totally crush van life. What I'll do is I'll put a link in the description. You can read up on that yourself. But yeah, GB News and who else is it? There's a couple of the organisations have tried to have some consultation with the government, querying what the situation may be, but they declined to answer. Now, what I think a lot of people don't actually realise is that the cameras for road pricing has already been installed. All those little yellow cameras that you see posted up on roundabouts and traffic lights and around the country lanes, that were all said to be put in for catching speeding motorcyclists. If you notice, all these cameras are forward facing, so they could catch your face. They've got facial recognition, and they're all forward facing, so they're totally useless to a motorbike, because motorbikes have their number plate on the rear. So it isn't for speeding motorbikes at all. It's road pricing, all these vector cameras they're called anyway. So yeah, the cameras are vector cameras. They can tell whether you've got your seatbelt on, they could tell your speed, they could tell who's driving the vehicle, they could tell whether you're on your mobile phone. So it's just another way for the organisation, the government, to spy on us. Now, the reason the government are giving for the need to put in road pricing is that there's a shortfall in the electric vehicles. The electric vehicles are subsidised by the government, and that they don't pay tax. And this is the reason why. That is complete utter bullshit, because electric vehicles, normal people are not buying electric vehicles. The people that are buying electric vehicles are companies. Companies are supplying their employees because they get a discount off the government. So the government is encouraging companies to use the electric vehicles as a sort of tax relief. And that's who's buying these electric vehicles. The normal people are not buying them. They don't want them. They're not economical. Who's going to sit there and wait 45 minutes for a battery to charge up and queue up behind another person that's already in the queue waiting 45 minutes? So that means that you've got almost 2 hours wait. Complete ludicrous system. I'm not going to go to electric vehicles no matter what. I mean, you're virtually driving around in a bomb, aren't you? So yeah, the shortfall in electric vehicle use on the tax is why they're saying they need to bring in these road pricing. But we're already paying road pricing. Like, if I go out in my van and I do 200 miles in my van, I'm paying tax on 200 miles worth of fuel. So I'm already paying per mile. So what are they talking about? The fuel itself is taxed. So I just don't get why they're saying that we're not paying tax, that the fuel itself is taxed. So if you do 200 miles, you've paid 200 miles of tax. What are they on about? Where does this come from? I mean, do they think we're absolutely dumb? They must think we're stupid. So a lot of the YouTubers tend to make videos saying, oh, this is the end of van life. And when you watch it, it's the end of van life for us, and we're going to go on holiday and then we're going to come back and live in our van. But the road pricing, could actually mean the end of van life altogether. If they do sort of like a 2-3 tier pricing, as in electric vehicles pay this amount, normal vehicles, vans, motorhomes, they could price us totally off the road. You've also got the possibility that older vehicles will pay more on the road pricing. That would be another way of getting the older vehicles. A lot of people in van life have got older motorhomes, and that would be another way to get rid of you. I think the it's also another way of introducing 15-minute cities into civilization to bring it into force, isn't it? That there's a good chance that what they'll do is, if you don't go outside your city, if you don't go outside, let's just say Lancaster, if you don't go outside that boundary, you may not have to pay any of the road pricing. But as soon as you start travelling outside your cities, you'll be slapped with a charge. So I wonder what you guys think of this. I mean, how is it going to work? I mean, yeah, you could cover up your number plates and drive somewhere, but at some point you're going to have to uncover them. And then what happens then? I mean, will we end up with people nicking your number plates and driving to places? I think that's what will happen. People will be stealing your number plates, driving somewhere, and getting away with it. And to be honest, I can't say I blame them if that's what's happened. I think the sales in angle grinders will also be going up quite highly. If you haven't got an angle grinder already, I suggest, and you need one, I suggest you go out and buy one, because I think they'll become extinct. You won't get an angle grinder for love or money. That's my thoughts anyway. It's coming our way, whether we like it or not, and I think we've all got to sort of think about how it's going to affect us. I mean, the idea that people move around in van life every other day or every 2 days, every day. I move around every 2 days, hopefully. I don't like to sit still more than 2 days. But if you're being priced, you're being costed for every move that you make, every mile that you do. It could end up with a lot of us just having to sit still for a much longer period of time. So again, that's going to affect people's mental health. You saw in the COVID times when you couldn't go out, that had a big effect on people's mental health. And yeah, you could also be faced with not knowing how much you've spent. You could go travel 100, 200 miles and get back home, or your bank balance is down 50, £100 because you've gone somewhere. You might drive off to Scotland, drive around Scotland, come back and find your bank balance is down to 200-300 quid. Simply because you've clocked up more miles than what you thought you were doing. How does that work? See, for me, I think the country is already on the brink of civil unrest. Nobody's happy with the way everything is going, and this could just tip things over the edge. It is a big concern, and being in a van leaves you a little bit more vulnerable, doesn't it? You won't be able to get diesel. I mean, all the petrol garages will shut down and they'll stop movement. That will be one of the first things government will do if civil unrest breaks out. That it will stop movement of the people. You'll lose the fuel. So yeah, what do you do in a situation like that? Anyway, I don't want to be negative, but the fact that road pricing is being discussed by government, by treasuries, and they all seem to be blaming each other as well. No one actually is standing up and saying, yeah, it's, I don't know, Starmer himself or one department blames the other. No one actually wants to stand up and say, yeah, we're responsible for bringing this in. So I wonder, guys, where does this leave us as van lifers? To me, it is probably the most scariest thought since going into a van. It's one thing I think will, like I say, will tip van life over the edge. It will bring a collapse on the sales of motorhomes if they decide to price them like you'll pay more for a motorhome than you would a normal van. Again, things like this could happen, and I don't know where this goes now. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. And is it just me being negative, or is this a real consideration that's coming in? I mean, these cameras have gone up at considerable cost, and you can't just tell me they've gone up all throughout the country, all on the little country lanes, and there's got to be a reason, and it is road pricing, I'm afraid. So yeah, let us know your thoughts. Tell me what you think.